Welcome back.
Hey, what's
Welcome
going
back.
on?
Welcome back. Welcome back. Wasn't there a TV show that did that? That was a TV
hmm
show, a rerun.
Yeah, welcome back, Potter.
Oh, well, there
Cotter,
you go. It was
Cotter,
welcome.
Cotter.
Literally had the welcome back in. Okay,
Yeah,
never mind.
yeah,
I think I watched that as a little kid.
yeah.
It came on before some cartoon. I'm pretty sure, and it was a rerun of some probably really old show.
Yeah, it's-
There it is. Welcome
yeah.
back. Welcome back, Dr. Matt.
Thanks. Nice to be
Hi.
here. How's it
Hi. How
going?
are you? Hey. How are you?
Doing all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, moving along.
Did you stay dry today
It's
and yesterday?
mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
When you had to take the dog out a little bit,
How did she
but
do? And
oh,
I know she hates the rain.
she doesn't last very long.
Just
So
get in,
quick.
get out, get her business, get back. Yeah, no messing around in the rain.
Pretty much at this point. She doesn't really want to deal with the rain, so it's fine. Yeah. No, it
Not
was
that you
good
want to
though.
be standing out. Yeah.
It was fine. How about you?
Um, I think pretty good. I had a good day today, and it's because I decided, and we'll get into what we're talking about today, this evening. What time is it? 5:30. Because I just decided, you know what? I just don't feel like doing a lot today.
Mhm.
The kids are on summer break. I
Mhm.
mean, they're old enough to be off on their own and do things, but I want to, I want to be part of them
Yeah, right.
before
Right.
they all gather up and leave. And we've got years, but it's going to go by quicker. So I want to
Yeah.
make the summer with them as fun as possible. Katrina's had the ability to have a couple summers at least where she's been like with them a lot and doing
Right.
things. And so today was one of those days where like, you know what? It is the 1st of June
Yeah.
and it is 50 degrees outside. So I know
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like summer, but
Right.
we're gonna do summery things. So I actually had a club fitting for my
Oh,
new
right.
golf clubs today.
Yeah. Right on. Right on.
And I've never been custom fit. We've talked about this before
Yeah.
for golf clubs. And I went in, which was interesting because I had to reschedule. So the quick story
Mhm.
behind that is I rescheduled from a week ago. Things came up for work. And I rescheduled for this week. So I go into Golf Galaxy. Um, Apparently, I thought it was somewhere else too. I went off to Walnut Creek and pull in with the kids came with me. I brought them with me. I was kind of the
Uh-huh.
thing is come watch how this goes. It's a cool, TrackMan setup, the whole thing. You're gonna love it. Sage was into it. Willow was kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
Cool dad. Mm.
yeah, sounds like more boring stuff. Can I just stay here? But I was like, no, I want you to come with me. So we got there. I pull into the first parking lot at Walnut Creek. I'm like, wait, where's Golf Galaxy? It's not here. They've moved. It's been a while since I've been to their store.
Okay. Yeah.
So of course Sage goes, yeah, they've moved. It's on Sheridan.
Yeah. The one on
All
Sheridan.
right.
Right,
Yeah. So I'm like, oh my God, get back on the highway.
That's
It
funny.
still got there in
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Walk right in. Lady at the front desk, very sweet. Joe, by the way, thank you. Yes, you were asking earlier about how they were how they treated me. They treated me fantastic. It was dead. We were the only people in the store at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
So just FYI,
Love
the
it.
Westminster store was not kicking like some of the other stores. Just want you guys to know that. So walk in. She asked me why I'm here. And I had a couple of my clubs with me, my current clubs. And I said, I'm here for a club fitting. And I was really excited. She's like, all right. And looked me up. What time? 10. We don't have any appointments for 10 a.m. And I was like, well, I literally had to reschedule on the phone with this guy. He was super helpful, did the whole thing, sent me a confirmation email. I had that. I'm like, well, let me just pull up the email real quick and we'll figure this out. She's like, oh, that's no problem. No email. Can't find it on my phone.
Whoa.
Gone. Search it, all different ways of searching it. No results, no results. I'm like, well, clearly I have Golf Galaxy emails because I'm seeing them in my Apple sucks, by the way, with their system. Anyway, it's the whole email thing is just garbage. So technology in general. She's like, don't worry about it. I'll look it up in the system. What's your name? Do you have a points thing? The whole thing. She's like, I don't have any appointments today until 1 o'clock. So I definitely didn't do it at 1. I rescheduled for the same time, saying I can't do it until, I can't do it later. Long story short, I'm looking around. There's all these huge bays, right, of the TrackMan setups where they do the club fittings inside.
Yeah.
There's nobody in there.
Right.
So I look at her, and right as I'm going to be like, there's nobody here. And if you don't have appointments till 1, is there
Mhm.
that are available? I said, so can we schedule it? She's like, oh, no, no, I'll take care of it. We got nothing. So I'll get you set up. Somebody's here to take care of you. Long story short, get in at 10 o'clock and off we go, testing a bunch of clubs.
Cool.
It took a long time, actually. The guy
Yeah.
was real chatty, but I did a lot. Did a lot of clubs.
Nice.
And it
Nice.
was cool to see all these different numbers like we were talking about
Mhm.
before, just to see the whole
Mhm.
thing. So that was fun. The kids actually went off and enjoyed it. They had a little putting contest. They were shopping for
Mhm.
stuff. Sage is all about the accessories, and so he was looking at a lot of stuff. And Willow actually was cool. They get along so well, it's just easy. But
Yeah.
got out of
That's
there, went back, got some lunch, and then I got a little bit of work done. And I was like, you know what? What do you? Let's go to the golf course.
oh,
Let's go,
nice.
let's go swing some clubs.
Yeah.
So we went over and anyway, hit some golf balls this afternoon, brought them
Nice.
back. It was a day I think we all needed. So we had summer with 50 degrees outside, and there was
Yeah.
nobody at the range either. So it was great.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice, man. Nice.
Yeah. So
Well,
that was good.
I know you're excited about those new clubs. That'll be fun to have. And
Yeah. Hopefully they come in sooner than they were anticipated, because that would
yeah.
suck. They
Yeah.
said this is
Also,
one of the, of course, I picked one of the more popular ones that everybody's
uh,
hitting right now. But he was confident they might show up earlier, so we'll see.
cool.
And until then, I have the old ones with
Right.
really, really worn grips. So
Right. Right.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So here we are. Here we are talking about listening skills. And before we got on, I was telling you, I think people are really bad at listening now, and for
Mhm.
many different reasons. And I've had my own experiences recently. And I think it's a skill that needs to be addressed,
Yeah.
especially for entrepreneurs, business owners, and employers.
Yep.
Um, I mean, even if you're just doing your own thing, if you're just doing a YouTube thing, whatever, we have 5
Yeah.
senses. You're a doctor. You already know this, but we have 5
Yeah.
senses, and I think one of them's gone. So I figured I'd get your opinion on that.
Mhm.
Maybe talk a little bit about why people are bad at it and what they can do to get better at it, and why
Right.
it's so important to pay attention,
Yeah.
especially right now.
Yeah, gosh, there's a lot you could talk about with it. I mean, I think there's different aspects, right? Like you were talking earlier, just talking about the impact of just family dynamics, relationship dynamics, things like that with listening. But I also think there's issues around, working with people on the job, building your business. There's also aspects around um, just like just like having people who are going to help you in your business grow, right? And if you're
Right.
not, how do we facilitate that in the best way possible? um and I like how you titled it the art of listening, because I do think it's an art. I do think it's something that people actually have to actively be aware of. And I think what you're experiencing, or what we've talked about, is really sort of the disconnect that we have from that, you know
Mm-hmm. Yep.
um yeah, I can remember years ago doing a workshop, and there's a lot of stuff around like being present and connecting to people, and like it was really helpful skill. And I remember after I had done that, I was like chatting with somebody a couple of days later, and they kind of like were like really freaked out because I was just listening. Like
Hmm.
they were talking, and I was just there, present, listening, and they were so it was almost like, what's wrong? Like they were like so confused that, and I was like, what, and I was confused at that point. I'm like, wait, what? Because I was really just engaged with what they were trying to say. And I
Right.
just come from this, you know, workshop where we had done this like work a little bit. So I was like, I'd practiced it a little bit. I'm like, and it was something that I think I'll never forget it, because it really just struck me how little we listen, we're often not really fully listening. We're thinking about what we're going to say next.
Right.
And
Exactly. I'm
that
sorry,
is,
I didn't catch what you just
yeah,
said.
exactly. And we all do it,
Oh
and,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
I do it all the time.
Mm,
But I think it's a useful thing to be aware of, that
mm,
you do it, and then attempt, or at least practice not doing it.
right.
Like being present, listening to what someone's saying, engaging with it, and then responding, versus oh, she's talking about this and this and this, and here's what I'm thinking I'm going to say, and I better make sure I say it right. And oh, I have an experience that's just like that, and I'm going to share
Mhm.
that here as soon as she stops talking, and da da da.
Right, and it comes like, "Ooh, ooh, me," kinda thing, I think a lot for a lot of people is like, oh, he touched on something I wanna talk about," or "She said something that I have an opinion about," and
Hmm.
instead of, I know I asked the question and facilitated the conversation, but now it's like, "Ooh, ooh, me, look at me," kinda stuff, and I think that's what
Right.
kinda happens with people,
Right.
and that's one of my pet peeves is, people generally ask questions because 'cause they're curious about something. You have it in just,
Hmm.
social settings or even in some sort of business setting or environment where it's a little more casual and you've been intrigued and you ask a question and then you get sidetracked somehow along the answer, wanting, like you said, wanting to facilitate another, just to make a comment and not actually absorbing the entire answer that someone's giving you. And a lot of times it's information that you need. You guys are, let's say there's collaboration happening or something, whatever it is, and you've missed part of it. So, I see part of the problem in the listening department is inefficiency because if one party or a group of people or whoever it is in a more, a larger group business environment misses some of the key points that someone's telling them, whether it's in a
Yeah.
conference or it's in a meeting setting or whatever it is. I mean, it's harder on video conversations too, I'm sure. I
Super
think
hard.
there's a
Yeah.
there's a lot of more distraction because there's stuff sitting around all the time, and
Hmm.
sometimes, I can say, "Hey, Dr. Matt, keep talking." Oh, no one can see me. I'm trying to listen, but I'm doing other stuff, right?
Right. Right.
And
Right.
and
Turn off
all
your
of a sudden
camera.
I'm like, yeah, I'm like, "Oh crap.
Yeah.
Oh crap. I think I
Yeah.
missed part of that." And then I have to say, "Oh, sorry," because listen, I know people that do this because they tell me about it all the time that work for their businesses and they're pretty high up. And I've even watched them do it, and they're like, "Oh crap, I missed part of that. I got to ask a question." And then it comes back into a chat, or the person speaking says, "We have already answered that, but I'll go through it again." And it's just like that's
Hmm.
so inefficient. It's so inefficient to do that. To to get on the phone, if I've sent information to somebody and we've already talked about it on the phone, I'm doing a follow up email with things, and they need to get back on the phone with me and talk about it some more. It's because they didn't listen to what was
Hmm.
going on, the conversation, the email. They're not paying attention, and I hate going back. Like, why did you bother asking the question, right?
Yeah.
If you're not going to listen to me. So I see a big breakdown, and I'm just seeing it a lot more with
Mm.
people. That's why I want to talk about it is there's a struggle to absorb information. And
Yeah.
it's a lot comes down to people aren't listening. There's hearing and there's listening, and that's two different things. You could hear
Yeah.
me making noise, and you're hearing that. But are you really listening to me? I mean, are you listening to me right now? I don't
That.
know. Yeah, I don't
That.
know. But
Yeah.
you hear my voice. So,
Yeah. I mean, I think there's just such an importance of being present in the space that you're in, and I think that's something that we're easily distracted, like we were talking about earlier, where we're easily engaged in other processes. You got a million of screens around us, phone. We're at the beck and call of people constantly, and it's just easy to be distracted. And I think that there's a lot of it's just hard to have really good relationships. It's really hard, I think, to run a business. Um, just like you said, inefficiency, I think, is really the most important. Well, I think it should be one of the most important things that people think about in the context of business,
mhm,
like
mhm,
how easily you could get stuff done, or how much faster things could get done if you are present and
right.
aware of what people are telling you and how, what your role is and how you can best support other people. And I mean,
Yeah.
it's, business is like a relationship of any kind, really, right? I mean, we could translate it. I mean, with your partner, right? Your
Mhm.
wife, your husband, your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, right?
Mhm.
How even your friends, like you're out having a dinner, and are you, listen, are you just, on your phone the whole time, like, oh, what,
Right. Yeah.
and it's just inefficient, and
Yeah.
on some levels kind of rude, which I
It
think I know
certainly can
that
be rude.
frustrates you.
Yeah.
That
It
frustrates
certainly
you
can
a lot.
well, that's the thing is, like, someone's
Yeah,
trying there's, like, "I wanna hear what you're saying, Shane. I wanna listen to you,
yeah.
but I'm trying to get something done that I feel is just as important right now, even though,
Mhm,
and they're on their phone, and it's just like, 'Hey, man, put it down. Put it down. Can you
mhm.
just how important is this? Or should I just wait for you? Is it an emergency? Do you need to
Mm.
take a moment?' It's you can't do multiple things at once. We talk about this whole multitasking environment. It's not real,
I
it's just
I
it's not
remember that,
real.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah. This whole
yeah,
argument and, it's there's human
yeah,
beings don't multitask. We may be doing a lot of things at once, but none of them are being done in an efficient manner or
yeah.
correctly. So,
It's true.
giving us the ability to, like, you're not listening to me fully if you're texting somebody, right?
No.
Or writing an email. You're if you're trying to read ahead in a lecture
Mhm.
in school and you're sitting in the classroom with the teacher, you're not getting either one of those is
Right,
100%, right?
right.
Um, it's not happening. So, there's
Yeah,
there's a breakdown there because there's trying to do too much because there's so many there's the ability with all these things to get information so quickly and
mhm.
um, it's out there. Technology allows us the ability to try and do that, but it doesn't work. And there's too many distractions, and we have things going in so many different directions. I think part of what happens is we're so used to so many things coming in at once and
Mhm.
doing like there's lots of things sitting in front of us at once that when there's just me and you having a conversation, there's that spot in the brain that's used to this like whole environment of chaos.
Right,
And if we're like suppressing the chaos, it gets nervous. The brain gets nervous
right,
and it starts to create, well, maybe I need something else because this feels like there's no chaos here.
right,
Right. And
right.
so I need to have a distraction. I have something else. And so
Mm,
you just kind of pick up the phone. You you look
mhm,
over here, someone's talking to you, like, "What was that bird? Squirrel?" It's
mhm.
and it's I think that's what's going on now is people just can't take one thing at a time anymore.
Yeah. It's yeah, I mean, I think that one thing at a time is interesting, right? Like, and it's almost like you're afraid of missing something.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like like you might miss out if you're not paying attention to everything around you.
Right.
But the reality of that is you're missing out on almost everything because you're
Mhm.
not particularly the conversation the moment you're in.
Right.
I know we've talked about, aspects of like, like the four agreements and some of the different things we've had on our other lives, right? Like just sort of
Mhm.
ways to live in the world and engage with people. And I think it's really always a smart, in the context of building your health, building your wealth, building your business. And I see listening as really kind of at that interface between, you
Right.
know, you and other people.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and being able to um, kind of just be present in the moment.
Mhm.
And without distractions, and it's, look, we could sit here and like bitch about it, right, for an hour, which is, we can do that. But I also think it's useful to like make sure, people leave also with like actionable steps, right? Like what are
Right.
things to do? Maybe at the end we can chat about that in a little bit, because or what's
Yeah.
helped us do that, or well, we know. I just I like thinking about actionable things that people can take away
Oh, absolutely,
and those
because
sorts of things.
everyone yeah, you wanna get better at these things,
Hmm.
right? And if you wanna be
Yeah.
more efficient, you wanna get better at these things, you wanna absorb more information, you have to become it's a skill. It literally is a skill, especially in this day and age, to learn
Right.
how to listen.
Right.
And like I said before, it's, there's hearing and there's listening, and listening is absorbing information, retaining the information. And the only way to do that is to be present in whatever is in front of you that you're getting that information from, albeit someone else talking.
Hmm.
It's a video that you're watching, it's a class that you're in, whatever it is.
Hmm.
If you're even for a moment divulging, well, divulging. See, man, my brain's not even working. Diverting from this environment right in front of you,
Yeah. Yeah.
you're not going to get that, and there's going to be something missed along the way.
Right.
And it literally comes, like you've talked about a lot, literally comes down to just truly being present in that moment
Yeah.
and not thinking ahead for what you're going to say or what you need to do 2 hours from now, or
Hmm.
um, you know, God, my phone keeps blinking. Like it literally is going off right now. I don't even know why. But, if I look over at it, I may get distracted for a second. You can hear people on the phone as they're doing other things. And we're all guilty of that too.
Right.
They kind of fade in and out and they're slow to answer a question. I'm like, I know he's doing something else. I know she's looking at something else.
Right.
Um,
Yep.
and this is not efficient because they're going to, I mean, a lot of times I get this. I'm sorry. Can you just back up real quick? I have
Yeah.
someone that does that a lot in my life when we're on the
Yeah.
phone a lot and we do this. Can you just hold on? Let me clarify. There's no
Right.
clarification needed. That
Right.
information was there. So
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely conversations that are unclear and things like that. But yeah, when you're present, you're able to get your questions answered. Or you're able to be engaged in a way that is easy.
mhm,
It's much
yeah,
easier. That's what I find.
the stress goes down, right?
Yeah.
Your brain becomes
Yeah.
more efficient. Your every sense becomes more efficient if you're engaged and
Yeah.
present. But it's amazing how fast you can retain information if you're truly right there. It's crazy.
Right.
You can
And you know
start
what
with
else? Oh,
a lot of
sorry.
things. No, go
Well,
Matt, you're not
I'm not
listening.
listening. No, I was just thinking like how awesome it is as a person in general to feel heard. Like I
Uh-huh.
think that's another thing. We talk about um, you know, I mean, I just think about like different relationships that I've been in, whether it's
Right.
business or just personal. And like when someone actually is listening to you and gets what you're saying and
Mhm.
like just the way you feel, like, oh wow, like okay, like I feel valued, I feel
Right.
taken care of, I feel like I'm important enough to you that you know you you're present here to listen to me. And so I think in
Mhm.
a business context, I mean, I know it in like a doctor patient. I can't, man, talk about a skill in like medicine that's completely, not there. And it's so unfortunate.
Right.
And boy, I can't tell you how many people just want to be heard
Mhm.
for at least a chunk, just a short period of time. And just the fact of sitting there being someone that will listen, understand, just giving that listening ear. And here's the thing that I mean, it's a little different being a doctor, but I think in a relationship, it's a little different because sometimes being heard doesn't always mean a solution,
Right. Right.
right? Like some people just want to be heard. They
Right.
just need to talk and be listened to and heard.
Mhm.
And other times, I mean, obviously, as people come to me, they want some sort of plan and guidance and direction. So that's different.
Sure.
But yeah, I just was thinking about how important I think what frustrates people around listening is just not feeling valued and heard, and
Mhm.
how hard that is, I think. And it's something that will completely derail you as an entrepreneur.
Oh, yeah.
People will literally go somewhere else because
Yep.
they know you don't care. Like, and they may not consciously know that. I mean, it may be obvious consciously, but maybe not. Maybe they'll just be like, that was a waste of right? A waste of time.
Yeah, it's that your profession, your industry, I think there's a huge breakdown. I mean, I've gone to doctors over the years and struggled with and not that I've ever had, like, thank God, major health issues, but just certain things I'm dealing with, even with injuries,
Mhm.
do I get surgery? Do I not? Do I do PT? Do I not? Like, what's the next step? What is your opinion? And to be over talked by a doctor, in a setting where I'm coming to you to tell you what's going on with my
Yeah.
body, and you're going like this with, trying to hurry, hurry, hurry. I got 10 minutes, man. Let's go. You're not listening to anything. And so the inefficiency is there. It's like, well, and I'm sure you see it all the time too. I know my wife does, because she gets the tail end of this stuff. It's like every other doctor says, because they're not listening, and they send her to her, like, go see Katrina, she'll fix it. But they've already gone through this process for months or even years sometimes of,
Oh, yeah.
it's not getting better. It's not getting better. Well, most of the time it's just because they're not listening. And Katrina gets them and says, we can just do X, Y, and Z, and bam, they're
Mhm.
already within a month better with. And most of the time she's just like, this wasn't hard to figure out. Like, you told me.
Right.
And not that she's not brilliant at what she does, but at the same time, a lot of it just comes down to just sitting there.
Right. Yeah.
And you had brought
Oh,
it up earlier, and people get, I think part of this breakdown is people are uncomfortable with just being able to talk, and someone's actually listening, and there's not this kind of battle of voices going on. If you're just
mhm.
sitting there listening, we give them the old Connie eyes, right?
Yeah,
And
your mom's actually pretty good at listening.
she is good at it, but there's a moment where you're like looking at her, you're like,
Yeah.
are you present? And yeah.
Mhm.
Did you hear what I said?
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Just a facial expression would be nice, at least, right? Like, she will just stare at you,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
she's fully engaged, and she's blinking her eyes, and that's about it. Like, are you here? Where did
Right.
you go? I'm right here. I got it. Repeat
That's so
back what I
funny.
said to you.
That's
And
so funny. Yeah.
but I think people get uncomfortable with that, right?
Yeah.
If there's not
Oh,
this,
yeah.
like, constant back and forth of just barely got enough in, or whatever it is.
Mhm.
And yeah, you have to, as a practitioner, you have to listen,
Mhm.
because you're trying to diagnose something.
Mhm.
And they're, as just a layperson, saying, this is what I'm feeling, this is what's going on. And you're like, all right, you have to think as it's coming in.
Yeah.
There's certain, you're thinking, okay, it could be this, we could try this, we could do this test, whatever. But at the same time, you have to listen. You can't be like, oh, text coming in, and what's my next appointment? I'm
Yep.
sorry, like, you can't do that.
No, you can't. And yeah, it can be challenging. It can
Mhm.
definitely be challenging, but I think people are really looking for that. I think people are looking for that in any kind of relationship,
Mhm.
I mean,
Well, yes. There's a and I like that you call it relationships, because they all are. Business
mhm.
relationships, personal relationships. Um, you have relationships with your practitioner, you have relationships
Yeah.
with your lawyer, you have relationships with your CPA, although usually those are really shitty. Um, God almighty. Don't even get me started on that. You have relationships with the person at the store that you get to know. We have a relationship with our bartender. That's
Yeah.
probably not a good thing to say, but at the same
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
it's personable, and it's a good thing to do in those types of industries too. Remember us.
Mhm.
We come in, we're patrons, we pay, whatever. You have those relationships, and you, as a bartender, is a great example. You have to be able to listen. You pay attention to these people, make them feel important, so they want to come back. They want to sit there.
Mhm.
It's an environment where they want to relax and feel, welcomed, whatever. I mean, trust me, I've had plenty of conversations with my wife where I'm talking about something and she doesn't give two craps about it, and she's
Mhm.
trying to, like, absorb, but sometimes maybe not even understand what I'm talking
Mhm.
about. And then there's moments where I can go off on my tinfoil tangents, and I can tell she's just like, yeah, yeah, okay, huh, mm-hmm,
Mhm.
mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Anywho, it's, there's that moment. It's like, well, okay, she's not listening. Should I continue to go forth with this? And why do I need to go forth with this? And if I
Yeah.
don't, then I should just turn it
Yeah.
off now. Where there's that moment of, is this even important to talk about? Because there's what we call venting too,
Yeah.
where someone, again, is just
Yeah.
sitting there letting you say stuff. I'm not looking for a solution right now. I'm not looking for an answer. I just
Mhm.
need to get this off my chest, and I'm done. And
Yeah.
thank you for being a good listener. Thank you for not trying to interlude with, I have a, I have a, thank you for not doing that. And we're done, you know?
Graded Yeah, fellas listening, that's advice how to, a lot of times dealing with women,
Hmm.
and I don't mean that in any, that's just often what women need, is someone to listen and not
That's
have a
right.
solution.
That's right.
Like, they're not looking for that.
They're not,
Sometimes they are.
because we're the helper. We're like we're the
Yeah.
problem solver. We're
We'll
the
figure it
fixers.
out,
We'll
right.
figure it out. And they're
We
like,
think we can, at least, yeah.
if they're transparent, say, listen to me, before I go into this really crappy day and what I need to talk to you about, it's not me really talking to you. It's me
Just
talking at you
just
in a monologue.
yeah. Yep, totally.
Listen, I need you to hear it, but I'm not looking for anything. Okay. So shut up. Here we go. Right.
I had somebody, in that same, in that context, have a good analogy. She would ask if you, like, kind of what you needed at the moment, and it was almost
Mhm.
like, "Do you need me just to be like this garbage can that you're just dumping stuff in?"
Right. Right.
And I can't remember, I think that's how she even asked it, and it was like, I was kinda like, "Oh, that's actually kind of cool," because it just it took me, it took me my expectations off of her, and it was like, "Okay, I'm just gonna blah," and she could be like, "Oh, okay,
Right.
great."
Right.
And then we just moved on, or whatever, and it was just, I thought it was a really interesting way of looking at that, but it was, yeah, I think just like a listening, a skill,
It's
again, like, just another, like, aspect of listening that
we
may or
can
may that could be
totally.
serving other people, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly, and just getting better at all the different scenarios of
Mhm.
being a listener. Sometimes it's absorbing information to go and take for your job or for your company
Mhm.
to apply it. You're trying to gather information to get a project going. I mean, in my professions, that's a lot of what happens. Is I
Mhm.
don't want to be on the phone with these people right now, but I have to gather information, or I have to get I take a temperature, as we say, or get a sense of what's going on to then kind of negotiate, divert whatever it is I need to, to get
Mhm.
to get this thing moving forward. Deliver information to people on, a certain aspect of whatever is going on to for them to facilitate their end of something. Again, it's all about efficiency.
Right.
Your significant other, your partner, um, at the moment just needs you to listen. Sometimes they're actually looking for advice, in-laws,
Yeah.
hey, I get that a lot. What do
Mhm.
I do if this happens? Great.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you an answer. They're looking for information. I can kind of guide them or teach them whatever it is. Same thing with my kids.
Yeah.
I need to, you need to listen, sit down, listen to this, and having them develop their listening skills early on is important, especially their generation, which, this is the world. And so many kids get so easily distracted with whether it's in school or other places.
Yeah.
They have to be good at this. And I just don't think that's a skill that's even being taught, let alone being innate in these kids anymore. And
No.
to sit them down and make, like, you have to listen to me. This is important. And when they don't, I want to see the consequence. And I want them to come back and say, I wasn't paying attention and you were right.
Mhm.
And that's like, yes, we've gotten somewhere, which means in their brain, next
Yeah.
time dad goes off and goes, yeah, if you're going to do it, maybe I should pay attention. And a lot of that comes with us as human beings, with parents going down the road and realizing much later, oh my God, they were right. And I wasn't listening, but I was listening because it's in
Mhm.
here and I remember it. And that's part of the learning process. But if we can get better at that earlier, I think there's
Yeah.
a huge benefit for that. So,
Do you have any good examples of, like, situations you've been in where you've had someone that's really good at listening? Like, in your work or whatever, like, in business?
yeah,
What
yeah,
was that what
actually,
was that like
it,
what's that in that
so there's
situation?
a couple. One I can think of was years ago. I had an apprentice that came to work with us,
Mhm.
and he was straight out of undergrad from an architecture program, so just graduated from college, and he thought he knew he wanted to be in the construction business with an architecture background, but was trying to decide, do I go and go through the master's program, get an architectural
Mhm.
license to be an
Mhm.
architect and
Mhm.
go be an architect, or should I learn the actual hands-on building and construction part of it first to become a better architect? And that was the first time I knew that he was a good listener, is because I'm on the phone with him and he asked that exact question. And I literally said, you need to listen to me when I tell you it is drastically more important to get on the job training. You will not get that as an architect. And
Mhm.
it will make you a phenomenal designer and architect if you can get in and understand how things go together. And I think that's vastly important. So what he did the next day was come over, because he wanted to meet. He said came over to a job site, hung out for a few hours, and asked multiple questions,
Mhm.
like literally specifically, why are you doing this? What's this going to help with? What's that? And I could see, and I would give him the answer. And he's got his little notebook out and he's taking notes, which to me tells me someone's paying attention. Like when you go to
Mhm.
school and you're taking notes in class, you're trying to retain stuff.
Mhm.
He was listening. But the next day he comes back and because he's like, okay, I want to start. I want to work, when can I start? I said, tomorrow. I can get you on tomorrow if you're an apprentice. He was free, at least for a while. Why would I say no?
Totally.
So he literally came back the next day and went straight over to a wall assembly condition that we were working through,
Yeah.
and literally puts his tool belt on. And he had a little bit of construction experience. It wasn't like he was green, but he was very new. Put his tool belt on and says, "Can I do that?" And I said, "Of course."
Mhm.
And he did it exactly the way I explained it the day
Mhm.
before. And it was like, you were paying attention.
Mhm.
And this kid at the time, he was 22 years old at the time, just said, "Well, yeah, I was listening to you. I would
Mhm.
assume that you know what you're talking about."
Mhm. Nice. Yeah.
So it was like, and he was very good and has gone on to be very successful. Design build is where he's living somewhere else, but he's in a design build company and he's moved his way up very quickly.
Right on.
So
Yeah.
that's a great example, and I can tell you why. He listens, he pays attention, and he's a fast learner. I mean, that helps too. But if you're paying attention and listening, you'll be a
Mhm.
fast learner in some respects.
Mhm.
So it benefited him dramatically.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. I mean, I can think of like, I mean, there's definitely mentors and doctors I worked with that you can just, they are, they're so used to connecting to people,
Hmm.
right? Like it's such a skill to um, ask the right questions and hear what's said in a way that makes people heard, that they feel validated. Because I mean, one of the things you learn in, um, at least we learned, is like active listening skills, which is there's different techniques, and some of them, I mean, like techniques are just techniques, right? And
Hmm.
sometimes people feel like but if you really get what the technique is about and you can put it in practice with people,
Hmm.
like it really works. And
Yeah.
it comes, especially if it comes from like a place of just like, clarity and presence, and not just like a rote like list. And, like for example, like when you're, like validating people's emotional states is a pretty helpful tool, especially in my world. So when, or it's actually super helpful when you're in any kind of experience that is someone's really really upset,
Hmm.
and they may or may not be upset with you, but they're just upset,
Right.
and they might be upset with you, but it can be a really great tool when you, because it takes you out of it a bit and you reflect back to them what they're saying,
Hmm.
not in a way that makes like trite. Like there's some ways that it can be really bad, but like done poorly. But like what that looks like is like someone's like, upset, and they're frustrated, and you can like be like, yeah, that is frustrating. And so they get that you heard their frustration. They get that you see and understand what's going on. And it really creates this like present moment with them where you're like connected. So on the ground with me, like with a patient, for example, sometimes they'll just be going off on like how they're feeling, or a situation they've had with another practitioner or something. And it's all right. It's useful information, but sometimes it just gets to be just like a complete bitch session, and
Hmm.
it's not moving us forward, anywhere. And so, the skill then is to be like, yeah, wow, it's such a unfortunate situation. It's so frustrating to not be listened to and heard by the doctor. Um, and it just like stops them in the moment, and they get that you heard what they're saying. They get that you're
Hmm.
present with them. They get that you are aware of it all, and then you can keep going the conversation in a way that actually supports them, and it's a skill, and I think people that are in the healing, well, people that are good at healing arts and therapists and things are really good at that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
um, and I think good business people are as well, good managers of people, good uh, CEOs and people that are like on top of companies hopefully have an ability to relate to people in a way that lets them feel heard and makes them feel understood, makes them feel taken care of.
Yeah, it lets them feel important, and
And it,
I mean, that's the
yeah.
key to a, larger companies, especially when people are
Mhm.
trying to they're doing work for you on a top-down level,
Right.
and, obviously, people at the top benefit the most because that's where they're there for a reason, and people that own the business, that's they've taken all the risk and putting all those pieces in place
Right.
and given you employment, but at the same time, in order to keep good people, you have to let them feel important, and part of that is literally listening what they're saying because those people have good ideas, and you're kind of separating and dividing up and conquering, so to speak, your business because you're bringing in
Mhm.
skill sets of this
Mhm.
this person's good at this person's good at this, and it's maybe as a whole you're a jack of all trades, but because you've built the business, but you have to have people in specialties that are even better than you at this specialty, and if you're not listening to their ideas or their technique or whatever it is, eventually they're gonna be
Mhm.
like, screw this, I'm out of here.
Mhm.
You don't care. You think you're better at everything than me. They're trust me, those people will eventually leave, and then you're either starting over, finding somebody else and doing the same type of situation where eventually they'll
Right.
leave again, or you're not hiring very good people that, don't feel as worthy and just kind of like, muddle through it, and your
Yeah.
efficiency with the whole company becomes less of an
Yep.
of a bigger piece.
Right.
And if that motor's not running efficiently, it's just kind of plotting along,
Yeah.
eventually it's going to wear out. So
Totally.
that's where people fail.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think, the good companies have, and the good managers of people and managers of situations, and, really, um, yeah, really get that,
Hmm.
and really want to bring that out in people.
Right.
And, and I think, yeah, for anybody that's really starting out in a business and entrepreneurial world, you know, hel- helping people see their value and feel valued, but
Hmm.
literally because they are valuable to you.
Right. Yep.
Like, you're not
Yep.
blowing smoke up their ass. You need them in a way that, because they're good at what they do. And
Hmm.
I think that's just such a valuable skill to cultivate. Um,
Yeah, for sure. I think part of that too is making them feel valuable is being genuine
mhm,
with them. And if you are listening to them and you're giving them feedback at the same time, they're looking at you and saying, all right, this person's paying attention to me.
mhm,
So I better, stay on my A game and continue to do what I'm doing. This is why I'm here, kind of thing. And that confidence can build, and then there's this reciprocal value that comes from that, where they
mhm,
will stay because it's like, I like this environment and
totally.
I'm allowed to grow within this environment because someone's listening to me, and if I have a question or I have a concern, can we correct this? I mean, I'm seeing this with my wife right now, and it's like, are you guys listening or not? Because you're about to have bigger issues, meaning losing people, starting over, rehiring,
Yeah.
closing, a division of the business, whatever it is. It's just like, if you're not paying attention to these people and they have suggestions, they have ideas, just because you're supposedly on the food chain higher than them doesn't mean they're not smarter.
Yeah.
They're not
Mhm.
more, they're not, they're not inventive. They're not creative. That doesn't, none of that adds up. It's just, this is what their specialty is. And this is what they want to do. They don't want to
Mhm.
run everything. They want to do this,
Mhm.
and you have to understand that. And that ego, I think there's an ego within that too, where a lot of people get higher up through a company, or they're the owner, they've created the business. And how did you get there? through listening to other people, watching other people, learning the skills, and working your way up, or
Mhm.
starting something. And what I've really tried to tell people as they're starting out, younger people especially, they're starting out in their own business, is just because someone's older than you doesn't mean you should roll your eyes and go, "Oh, this person's old. They don't know what they're talking about. They're not up to date on something.
Mhm.
Um, they're past their prime, whatever it is." And listen, I was guilty of that when I was super young.
Mhm.
I would make assumptions based on, I don't think they know what they're saying now because they're not dealing with today's environment. It was 30, 40 years ago when they
Yeah.
were starting out. And
Yeah.
that's not true anymore. And they have so many tidbits of like, if and once I caught that they're literally giving you gold for free. And just because you're just like, I'm young, they're old, whatever, that's gonna be a big, big, big problem for you if you're not willing to listen to your peers, especially as you said, a mentor.
Yeah.
If you're not absorbing their information, don't worry about when they were born.
Right.
They've been through all of it. They'll tell you their
Right.
mistakes if you're paying
Right.
attention.
Right.
Listen, you can avoid these things
Mhm.
and get further ahead faster than I did if you're listening to what I'm telling you. And it's
Mhm.
so invaluable. And the
Mhm.
way I'm wired didn't allow me to do that. So that I call myself a late bloomer sometimes. And I think it's because a lot of it was like, I'll figure it out. I was just so into, I'll
Yeah.
get it done. I think I can just do it more efficiently. When in reality, yeah, you may have better ideas now, but they're trying to tell you what to avoid
Mhm.
to finite and more, make that process more efficient. So just you guys out there to starting a business, pay attention to the geezers for sure. Trust me.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to our conversation about mentorship and, just, I think it's just a valuable aspect of any kind of relationship, in
Mhm.
particularly business. Um, yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a skill that people,
Mhm.
should. I'm glad we're talking about it because it's just sort of reminding me of like how it's almost like people. I don't know if people really, um, well, there are people that do, but I think for a lot of us, don't even think about it being a skill to learn and practice. And we have to. It's
Mhm.
like learning. If you were going to go, you know, start something new, like I don't know, drawing, like sketching or something like that.
Right.
And you have to practice. You have to learn it. Um, you know, playing golf, learning to do anything. I don't know, whatever you're engaged in.
Mhm.
It's something to learn and develop.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you can continually get better at it. You can
Oh, for
continually
sure.
refine those skills just like anything.
For sure.
You can continue to refine those skills and then pass those skills on, to the next generation or whatever it is of like, listen, here's the mistakes that I made with, where I was and absorbing information.
Mhm.
And here's the things I can do. And interpersonal relationship, whatever it is, you can learn all across the board. I mean,
Oh,
yes, we talk about business and entrepreneurship here, but
can't
at the
really
same
separate.
time,
Yeah.
no, it'll work in any environment. It'll work with your parents, your kids,
Mhm.
your significant other,
Mhm.
your business partner, whoever it is. You all bring something to the table, and if you're not paying attention to each other,
Yeah.
there's just rigidity and uselessness, in my opinion. There's just nothing happens, and either people get frustrated and stop talking about it because, well, why would I talk about it if you're not going to listen?
Yeah.
Um, or you're backtracking consistently and all the time, and it's like, man, I just don't know. We're not as efficient as this group over here, or that group, or this team, or whatever. And well,
Mhm.
yeah, because some of you guys suck at listening. And there's
Yeah.
so many different ways of like getting better at that. It's one, like we talked about, stop talking.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
even if you ask a question, I know people in my life will ask a question, and they're asking a question because they've gotten a little bit of information and they're wanting to learn something, right?
Mm.
Or they, whether it's their home or investing, whatever it is, they truly are like, I want advice. I want to learn this. I want to figure out how to do this better, whatever it is. And the moment I start talking about something, and I'm trying to make it as, sometimes I get long winded, but I try to refine it and get it as simple as possible and easy to understand. and they start asking questions in the middle of me answering.
Mhm.
Well, I saw this on YouTube where I heard this. Well, this guy said that. Whoa, whoa,
Mhm.
whoa, hold on. Are you wanting me to give you an answer?
Mhm.
Or are you trying to reassure yourself that you think you know? Because if that's the case, you don't need me.
Mhm.
If you need reassurance, you're already there. Because I have a certain way of doing things in any environment, and you may have learned something better. Who
Right.
knows? The
Yeah.
reassurance is just like, hey, if I did it this way, would this work? Yes. It's a very simple answer. Again, efficiency. If you're asking me how do I do this, Shane? And I say,
Right.
well, here's how you're going to do this. Well, I saw here. Whoa, stop. Hold on. I
Yeah.
wasn't finished. Do you
No.
want to have this answer or not? Yeah, it's just that I saw it here, and I'm sure you get this with patients too. I saw this on YouTube. I read this on the internet, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Okay, there's information out there, and a lot of it is actually pretty good. But I'm going to tell you, as an expert, what this is.
Mhm.
And then you can take that along with the other information and ball that up and decide what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, whatever. But if you're
Yeah.
not taking the entire answer, this is not
Yeah.
a simple process. I'm trying to give you a simple answer, but it's not a simple process. You're going to miss something, and then you're going to call me back, or you're going to come back for another meeting. Okay, I got through this
Yeah.
part, which I have all the time. I got through this part, but now what do I do? We went through all of this. Wait, I don't understand. You said if we got the permit and then this happened, then X would. No, I didn't.
Mhm.
No, I didn't. I told you this and then this, and now we have to do this, which, by the way, is the next step. I didn't remember
Mhm.
that step. I know, but I did tell you. You
Mhm.
want to jump ahead, and you're starting like our brains do that. I think I can get somewhere with this, or I think I've got enough. I got enough. I can cliff notes the rest.
Mhm.
You can't,
Yeah.
and that's the trick.
Yeah. I think there's two aspects always in these sorts of relationships, right? Like you've got, there's obviously as you can only control your own stuff in any relationship, right? And
Mhm.
so I think there's also a level I think in any kind of business relationship or whatever of like what's the saying, like don't cast your pearls before swine kind of a thing. Like if it's not if it's not going to come back, if it's just unnecessary. And I think that's part of business development and
Mhm.
relationships as well. Like getting in an environment where you have the people that you vibe with in the right way, right? Like it's
Yep.
not this constant like struggle of like miscommunication and all
Mhm.
every day, and it's just no fun for anybody.
Yep.
um so yeah, so like I don't know, I was thinking like what could we leave people with like for like
Mhm.
skills of I mean really we're talking about is communication, I
Mhm.
think at the end of the day, and listening is obviously probably the number one part of the communication.
Yeah.
um
Well, as we move forward back into a normal life, right, and we're being humans again,
mhm.
I'm not being facetious. Um, we got to get used to doing this again, right? We have to be
Yeah.
used to sitting in group settings with people around us, and there is distraction. But I would say the first thing you do is if you're having a meeting in a business
Mhm.
setting, get rid of this thing.
Yeah.
If you have to have this thing next to you in a meeting, then you're not ready for the meeting,
Right.
right? So turn it off and put it away.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. I
Get in
agree.
an environment where you can have the meeting, where there's
Mhm.
not like people meet at Starbucks and they meet at like
Mhm. Good point.
listen, not that I'm not frowning this, but there was a Bible study group at the mall the other day meeting in the food court. To me, that just seemed a little awkward, not because it's religious or whatever it is, just like
Right. It's
it's
any
so
meeting.
loud in there and there's so many distractions. How are you going to
Right.
absorb any sort of information in that point?
Mhm.
So find just really relaxed environments to be
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
You get in there, it's quiet. It's a meeting room.
Yeah.
It's in your office. It's
Yeah.
wherever it needs to be where there's not a lot of things going on. Screens are a big deal. I'm telling you.
Mhm.
Take the thing and flip it over.
Mhm.
Put it on silent. Okay.
Mhm.
If you're concerned about, something could happen during that meeting, you're not ready for the meeting.
Mhm.
Let's just say you're a mom or a dad, and well, I guess that wouldn't work. As a mom, you would know if you're about to have a baby. As a dad, and you're going to a meeting. I know this is a life thing that happens. I was part of that too. And at any moment, my wife could go to labor. I get it. Life's got to go on. But if you're
Right.
constantly looking at this thing, that meeting's kind of worthless. Maybe you should reschedule the meeting. I know that's like, oh, Shane, I can't do that. I can't. We have to have, yeah, but there's probably ways around that, right?
Do you? Yeah.
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 So
It's a good,
remove distractions.
those are good points. Yeah, for sure. Set yourself up for success, right? Like
Yeah.
for listening, like that's what I hear when you're saying that. Like
Mhm.
I hear all those opportunities allow you the best place or the environment allows for the best opportunity for
Mhm.
fully being present and engaged.
Right.
And
Right. Low stress environments, turn off the other
mhm,
things that are going on. I everyone's going to develop their own skills for listening, but I think outside of that stuff, my biggest deal is looking someone straight in the eye while they're talking to you.
mhm,
And it's funny how many people feel awkward doing that, right?
mhm,
When we're having a conversation, I'm watching someone's mouth, I'm watching their eyes, their expressions,
mhm,
and that helps me not only dictate how this conversation is going, but you know, if we're in a negotiation, I can start reading,
mm,
is this important? Is this not important? Is this a problem? Is not a problem? What's real? What's not? Other
yeah,
environments is different, but I'm getting everything that I need. And I'm not allowing my mind to drift because my eyes aren't going somewhere else, catching whatever it is that could catch us. If I'm looking right at them, I'm focusing, watch their eyes, watch their mouth, and I'm
mhm,
listening. It's amazing how much more goes in here if you're doing that.
yeah,
I know taking notes sometimes is important, but if you can learn how to, I know a lot of people that can type and look at you at the same time. If you can do it that way, and you need to take notes, you can still look at somebody and type. If you can
yeah,
do that skill, boom, you're done. If you're taking
yeah,
notes by hand, it's constantly looking up and down, and you're developing questions, but you're waiting for that to kind of transpire. If you're looking somebody in the face, you're going to get that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think on my end, I think those are great suggestions. I think um, I mean, my suggestion is, what I try and do, like with a patient when I sit down with them, is because I do have my computer that I take notes on for the appointment, and I need to keep track of what's happening, right? And so
Mhm.
I also don't want to just be typing and then look up and ask a question and then go back to typing, right? So
Right.
it's an art you have to develop, and I think, um, but I always don't put my computer right in front of me, and when I first sit down and talk to them, and I just engage with somebody,
Mhm.
right? So I think there's just what my advice around it is, an actionable step is, take a breath and be present into a conversation.
Mhm.
Like just it doesn't have to be a big deal. You're not like, meditating and whatever, but it's just like, okay, here I am. I'm present. I'm gonna take a breath, and here I am in a conversation with Shane. And okay, we're in that moment, then I'm able to hear what they're saying. I'm able to be able to engage properly in the right, manner. And then they feel heard, and they feel like, it ends up being a good dialogue.
Mhm.
Uh, and I don't miss anything, or I minimally miss things, I
Right.
mean,
Yep.
um, so yeah, I would just say, take a breath and be present, just be aware. And what was the second thing I was going to say? I think, yeah, I mean, it's simple. Well, like I said earlier about, like, there's this whole active listening kind of, I would say, develop it, find a course. Communication courses are out there. There's
Mhm.
all sorts of things that you can develop those skills, in like reflective listening back to people, what they're saying in a way that not like a customer servicey way. That's like, I, I was laughing about, who did I call? God, this was a while ago, like Verizon or Comcast, or I don't know, one of the big companies. And it was some sort of complaint about something. And they had obviously trained these customer service people in these arts, these different techniques, but it came across as a complete technique, not as a engagement with me.
Mhm.
Oh, well, thank you for calling. That sounds very frustrating. I'm like, okay, hold on a second. I know exactly what you're doing here. That's not what I'm talking about. But there are to those companies' credit, they understand the need for teaching their front-facing employees
Mhm.
interactive technique with the public and
Mhm.
in a way that people feel heard, respected, listened to. Um, and I think we can all develop skills like that, but you do
Yeah.
have to actively look for it. And especially if you're having trouble, like in a job or in a relationship or you're building your business, you can't figure out why people are not calling you back or why something. I mean, like
Mhm.
maybe there's a communication skill, maybe there's a listening skill that you could develop, you know?
Yep. Yeah,
Um,
there's so much of that. I think people they get frustrated in, working with other companies and trying to wonder why maybe they're not moving up or they're passed over for a couple promotions or whatever it is. And I mean, truly, a lot of it comes down to just being a better listener,
mhm,
and communication is all part of that. It's not
mhm,
just talking though. It's you know, th- in
mhm,
communication, the bigger of the two skills is being an active listener. And
totally.
I just think people just are just really struggling with trying to be able to do that because there's so many distractions, there's so many things going on in their head, there's so many things they're trying to do all at once, and we're overwhelmed all the time
Right.
anymore. And we just
Yeah.
can't separate and just like just literally compartmentalize everything.
Yeah.
What is important right now? Well, I'm in this meeting. All right, then just don't worry about all the other stuff. You need to be present with this meeting right here in this compartment. Get through it, do what you need to do, and then move on to the next task at hand. People when people are working out, it's the same thing. You're sitting there, you're working out, but you're thinking about 14 things that need to be done today at work or wherever else, and your body's not able to listen to the workout. So then it's like, I'm not getting the same results. I'm like, well, because you're not present.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I
Being
think
present.
it's so important. Just starting with being present
Mhm.
will allow you the ability to be a better listener and to kind of refine that skill for sure. Um, and you just, yeah, it's one of those things that we all have to get better at again. And
Yep.
don't be uncomfortable sitting with somebody and listening and not saying anything, looking them in the
Right.
face.
Right.
It's
Right.
all it's all
Yeah.
natural.
It's okay.
Um,
It's okay
it's gonna
not
be
to say
okay.
something every
Uh-huh.
moment of every conversation.
Yeah.
Well, here's
Yeah.
something that I think everyone should do maybe when if you go out to dinner with some friends, I've seen this, take your phones and everybody put them in the middle of the table
Yes. Yes.
upside down
Upside down.
and just leave them there
Yep.
and just
How
forget
long
about it.
can you go? How long can you go
Well,
before someone touches it?
and you could even say the first person who touches pays for the whole dinner,
Boom. Yeah.
right? And
Make it a
then,
bet.
just leave it,
Yep.
kind of thing. I don't know, just a
Better
game. Just
yet, leave it in your vehicle.
don't even bring it in
Can you
with you.
don't even bring if you think you're gonna have an issue, like if you go out with your friends or your family, whoever, and do that, and you think you're gonna have a problem, leave it in the vehicle
Mhm.
or leave it at home if you walked over, whatever it is. I wanna see if
Yeah.
you can do that. Like there's your homework right there.
Yeah.
There's your
Try
homework
it.
right there. Start
Yeah.
with that. That's a great way to start developing better listening skills. If you don't have the ability to pick that damn thing up. I mean,
Mhm.
dude, that's why I did what I did today. The last couple of days, I've literally wanted to throw this thing. It's such a detriment to just living life anymore. And by
Yeah.
God, stop picking it up while you're driving. Be present. Listen to yourself. But let's see if you can do that. Go at
Yeah.
least go into go wherever you're gonna meet, set it in the middle of the table upside down. Don't touch
Yep.
it.
Yep.
And if you're going to a restaurant or a bar, the first person that picks that damn thing up is paying for everybody.
Paying for everybody. Yep.
Yeah, there's incentive.
Mhm.
So there you go. We'll leave it on that.
Yeah, it'd
I
be a
like
fun
it.
game.
I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
it's a fun game. I think a lot of people will fail miserably.
Oh, for sure.
Um, I you know, let's let's figure that out. Let's get a group of people and go and see what happens. I guarantee you, I know certain people in that group will fail. We'll get a free drink or meal out of it. I know that
Yes. Who should we
because I
bring?
know I can leave mine.
Me too.
I can leave mine easily. I'm sick of it. Um, keep getting better at listening. It's going to pay off. Trust me. Trust me. All the things we talked about, it's going to pay off for you in so many different ways. Personal relationships, business relationships, personal trainers, wherever you are, parents, it's you'll be amazed. Just give it a week, even watch what happens. So
Great.
it's a big deal. It's a good skill. All right. With that being said, Dr. Matt, appreciate you, man. Thanks for stopping in.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. Thanks everyone for listening.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by. Hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed to the channel, on my channel and Dr. Matt's channel as well. We are double streaming on these as we speak, and go ahead and hit that thumbs up on the way out if you like the video. Share it as much as you can. Drop anything you want in the comments below, and we will get to them as we can as well. And make sure you follow Dr. Matt on Instagram. A lot of cool stuff there. You guys know where to find me. And I appreciate you guys stopping in. Listen. I'll leave it with that. Dr. Matt, go enjoy your evening.
You as well. Let's get on that golf course sooner than later, my friend.
I'm dialed in, man. Let's do it.
All
right,
righty.
man. Talk to you soon.
See ya.
Later.